Hello, welcome to a new edition of our show. My name is Business, and we always say business means money. Stability and business mean a lot of money. We're here talking a lot, not only about Egypt, but then Egypt is not separate from the whole world. There are different events that affect stability, that affect business worldwide, definitely, and that is related to Egypt. Nowadays, the big event after the COVID-19, all that subsided right now, and the main focus is on the war in the Ukraine, and between Russia and Ukraine, what's going on, what will happen, the prices hike. And also, we're talking about gas and petroleum, what's happening in the energy field. Before that, also, a very important event taking place on the international scene, definitely, and in Europe, and that's the elections in France. What's going to happen? How is it affecting say, Europe and Egypt, the Middle East, and worldwide, the politics worldwide? This is what we're going to be finding out right now. And we have with us our guest engineer, Salah Hafez, the former vice chairman of the General Petroleum Corporation. Welcome, sir. And of course, environment, all you're involved in lots of mega work and very important work that we'll be talking about. But before going and delving into our main subject, we're going for a short break, after which we'll be coming back and starting our talk. Stay tuned to us. Don't go. You're coming back in a moment.
Dr. Mustafa Madbouli witnessed the signing ceremony of a Memorandum of Understanding between the General Authority for the Economic Zone of the Suez Canal, the Sovereign Fund of Egypt, and the Green Fuel Alliance, consisting of Zero Waste and EDF Renewables, to establish a project within the economic zone of the Suez Canal in Ain al-Sukhna to produce 350,000 tons of green fuel annually in order to supply ships. The French company, one of the world's leading companies in the field of renewable energy, develops, builds, and operates clean energy plants in more than 22 countries based on wind and solar energy. The Memorandum of Understanding aims to establish a project to produce 140,000 tons of green ammonia annually, which can be gradually increased to about 350,000 tons annually, with an investment volume of $3 billion. The project is scheduled to be implemented in several phases, starting with the production of 140,000 tons of ammonia in the pilot phase, to be developed according to an accelerated implementation schedule. The establishment of the facility will start in 2024 and commercial operation will begin in 2026. For his part, the head of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, Engineer Yahya Zaki, said that the zone has concluded a number of agreements in the field of green energy production, including a Memorandum of Understanding with the Norwegian company Scatec to establish a green ammonia manufacturing facility with a capacity of 1 million tons annually, using green hydrogen produced from renewable energy, and another Memorandum of Understanding for cooperation with the international company Marsec to establish a project to provide clean energy and green fuels in sufficient quantities to achieve zero carbon emissions in shipping, whereas the global company is equipping 12 ships to work with green hydrogen. Dr. Mustafa Madbouli also witnessed the signing ceremony of a Memorandum of Understanding between the General Authority of the Economic Zone of the Suez Canal, the Sovereign Fund of Egypt, and the Emirati EMEA Power Company to establish a project within the economic zone of the Suez Canal to produce about 390,000 tons of green ammonia annually. The signed Memorandum of Understanding aims to establish a facility to manufacture hydrogen and green ammonia with a production capacity of 235,000 tons of ammonia annually, which can be increased up to 390,000 tons annually. Dr. Mustafa Madbouli indicated that this cooperation comes in light of the interest of international companies to invest in the field of green energy production in Egypt due to its comparative advantages in this field, including abundant solar and wind energy and adequate infrastructure, as well as its geographical location. The unique that facilitates access to global markets, especially Europe and Asia, and the presence of a political will for Egypt to become a regional center for green energy.
We're back again to Money Means Business with our guest, Engineer Salah Hafiz, and a lot to talk about. Before starting, talking, well, definitely we're talking about energy that is the talk of the world, not only talk of the town, actually, the energy, and everybody's looking right now, and Europe is kind of worried, it's not kind of worried, it's worried about Russia's decisions and trying to put sanctions on Russia, and Russia is threatening to just stop sending gas, and the situation is hard. And meanwhile, we have also the elections in France, and each party has its own ways, its own tendencies, and its own plans, definitely, and its own politics. So, how do you see the elections these days, and and the politics of Marine Le Pen versus Emmanuel Macron, how things are going?
Well, the geopolitics at large plays very important role with dealing with important commodities like energy, for instance.
Yeah.
So now the war between Russia and Ukraine is sanctions, economic sanctions have been implemented, and this, of course, affects the economy. But there is a sort of adjustment in other geopolitical issues,
Yeah.
So it's all adjustment of geopolitics in the area. So the election of in France, Marine Le Pen is pro-Russian, has always been known to be taking the side of Russia. Since Crimea acquisition, she did not consider it a hostile acquisition. On the contrary, she said it's a historic right, and it went through referendum. Mm-hmm. So they realized, European Union realized that this is taking the side of Russia. In 2017, also she was interviewed for the election, and she said many issues, she addressed many issues, and it was very clear that she's taking the side of Russia. Mm-hmm. Now it's different, but yet there is apprehension now in Europe that if she wins, then she will take measures to go out of the integrated strategic NATO, in the NATO commands, and also will take the side of Russia. She says after the war is finished, she's still she's rightist, far rightist, her party is. So now they're all waiting to see what will happen in the election. Yeah. If she wins, then things will be different. Mm-hmm. If Le Pen wins, which is the polls indicate that is still an edge ahead of Le Pen, but Macron is the incumbent president. Although there is a lot of movement against him, there is considered bureaucratic bureaucratic elite, and not and detached a little bit. Although he introduced some good financial measures related to taxes and helping the business people and all and the poor people as well. So he was not very liked, and they wanted change, and yet the election came at the time of the war, and they realized he took very positive role to getting the parties together and try to alleviate the situation. But now it's very difficult to tell who's going to win.
Yeah.
But surely, if Le Pen wins, then things will change drastically, I believe, with NATO, relation between France and NATO.
Yeah.
If Macron wins, then it will continue as is.
Definitely. Also, there is part, like many people are concerned about vaccines. They're just, he's very strict about the vaccines. Well, if you're not vaccinated, you cannot get into the plane going anywhere. If you're not vaccinated, you cannot go into restaurants. If you're not vaccinated, you're not doing that. They want even to vaccinate children of 5 years old. And this is a worry for lots of people, and they're against this. One of the things, he's strict about, and it's not acceptable to a category of people there. So nobody knows, like if really, as you said, and with the other measures, who's really going to win. It seems, he has backup. I don't know about Marine Le Pen, if she's going to have, the same backup, more or less, as you said. It's hard to know.
Yes, indeed. And also, the important part is energy, of course.
Yeah.
Russia provides 25% of the liquid hydrocarbons of oil, petroleum, and 40% of the gas requirement of Europe.
Definitely.
So this is very critical, and definitely after this war and after the sanctions that have been, but mainly the sanctions related to energy is done by the United States. Europe, they're still getting the oil, all the agreements are still are continuing, but eventually they want to phase out of Russia bit by bit. So France comes, and then one side will take the side of Russia, so this aggravates the problem quite a bit.
Yeah. Also, we do have, well, as we see here, Marine Le Pen on screen. Well, trying to there are lots of voices, actually votes for grabs. So, some people are just swaying, tilting to her or to the, they are up for grabs, actually. And each party is working very hard on getting the necessary voices and votes that will back them up in the election, in the elections. Also, considering Egypt, coming to Egypt here, we've had a few days back Chairman of EGAS and the CEO of ENI. They just signed an agreement together, the framework agreement that will allow to maximize gas production and LNG exports. In all that, Egypt also is seeking a place in all that, seeking to export more of its own gas and to have a foothold in Europe in all that. It should be, like there and presenting what we have, especially also that we have, all the necessary, and we can just provide Europe with what they really need.
No, we cannot provide Europe with what they need.
No, it's like what they need, or some part of what they need.
Yeah, part of the.
Yeah.
Egypt's production is 7.2 billion cubic feet a day, and the consumption is 5.8. So there is a room for exporting gas. Over and above, we're converting into renewable energy, so our dependence on gas locally will be less, so we will free more gas for export. So this is the good news. This framework is really timely and relevant to the situation, because ENI is the largest producer in Egypt, gas and oil now.
Yeah.
So we're talking about gas, and they're very important member in Europe because of her infrastructure. Has started before many countries in Europe, and they have gasification and pipelines going through Europe that can take to Italy, that can take the gas anywhere in Europe. So, of course, they can help Egypt in exporting the gas to Europe, although Egypt is contracted to export gas in different parts of the world, but the concentration now will be through Eni to Europe, which is very good for Egypt, of course, given the energy problem in Europe now. And of course, in the upstream, the concession agreements, they can lean on them and ask them to increase the production, to drill more wells, to help the balance of production in a way, since they are in control of most of the production in the country.
Definitely. Well, they said they agreed also to valorizing Egyptian gas reserves. What does that mean? Valorizing Egyptian gas reserves. How would they do that? Or?
By drilling more wells.
Okay.
You know, you drill, you increase the reserves. The reserves is a dynamic figure. So first, the more you produce, the more you identify technologies that can increase the production, and you go to secondary recovery and tertiary recovery and drill more wells for the bypassed hydrocarbons, or to extend the area that was originally identified. So there is always a way to replenish the production that have occurred and increase the reserves in the ground. There is a limit, of course, because it's at the end of the day, it's a depleted resource. But through the process of production, it's very dynamic, and to keep the plateau and even go above the plateau of production, and then eventually it will have to decline and deplete because of by default.
Definitely. Also here, it's like they talked about restarting the Damietta liquefaction plant that will provide LNG cargoes for overall up to 3 BCM in 2022 for any LNG portfolio bound to Europe and to Italy.
Yeah, well, this is what we've been talking about, the capacity to fill the capacity of the LNG plants, liquefaction plant. So will be because it was idling for a long while, and the process of liquefying is an energy intensive. So to keep it intact and maintained, you have to invest a lot of money. So it's very costly to put it in idling mode when you don't have enough gas to produce and export. Now that the export is available and the production has gone up since the discovery of the Dohr field, so they are reinitiating the LNG plants, and it's being used in full capacity now.
Definitely. Well, one question I asked in last program, but now since you're here, talking about the ruble and now getting the ruble stronger and being paid in paying going to be in rubles. What about Egypt? Also talked about the Egyptian pound. How is that? Is it like a pro or or against the
if you're
currency?
exporting, it's a pro.
Okay.
Because there will be more demand on the Egyptian currency to pay for the export.
Yeah.
So if there is a demand for the Egyptian pound as opposed to the dollar, then it will gain an edge over the old price of Egyptian pound. So Russia is doing the same because of the economic problems and the value of ruble. If they do so, then it's the cover will be the exports and the gold. So if you have a larger cover for your currency, then the value of the currency goes up, and the dollar, the conversion to dollar will be better, and exports, you can export more, and the balance of payment will improve.
Yeah. Or can the United States just, stop totally taking any kind of, gas from Russia?
Well, the gas, no, they're self-sufficient. I mean, more than self-sufficient. They
Petroleum.
export. But oil, they used to, but
Yeah.
very little. They take most of the oil from Canada, from Mexico, from Latin America,
Yeah.
Venezuela, and a little bit from Saudi Arabia, relatively. But I mean, because of their imports are something like 8 million barrels oil
Yeah.
per day or so. So they take some from Russia, and they try to talk Russia into increasing their production. And of course, because there is OPEC and Russia,
Yeah.
OPEC plus, they call it OPEC plus. So there is a deal, and Saudi Arabia could not do that without taking the consent of the other members. So this is creating a little bit of static in geopolitical relations between America. America is taking, I mean, America is very strong, still very strong. Their production of gas is huge, and oil and refineries and products and all this. So they control most of the transactions in the world.
Yeah.
And the petrodollar,
Yeah.
when it was introduced by Nixon, helped the dollar and all of Europe to cover the dollar with their gold. So the dollar was very strong.
Yeah.
Now the movement is, because Russia is getting much bigger now and more influential in the market, so as China. Russia's production in gas and oil is the biggest in the world.
How is it then affecting, let's say, geopolitics, and how is it affecting, now, like countries, they're trying to put sanctions on Russia, yet, it looks like we've got a camp here that is together, and now, another camp. Yeah, it's not one camp, or, now there are two camps right now.
They're introducing mechanisms to deal with the sanctions. The last sanctions in when they invaded Crimea, they managed to adjust, and they were not very much affected, because the more sanctions they implement, the West, I mean, there is a side effect on their economy as well.
Yeah.
It's not one-sided. So there is a limit. I mean, they cannot decide to ban importing oil for Europe. Now they're stopping the Nord Stream 2 from taking the gas to Germany. So Germany is badly affected, and they're having energy problems, quite a severe one.
Yeah.
So there is a limit to what they can do with the sanctions, but this time it's harsher than last time, and the assistance and the arms that they provide to Ukraine, and the quality and the amount of making the war much more difficult for Russia to end. So the time is of the essence in problems like this. They would like to finish the war quickly and dictate what they want, and sit on the negotiating table as strong as possible to get their main interest, which is no further NATO for Ukraine. So it is still in a gray area now, but I feel that after the election of France, and after as they say, they announced in Russia, they're leaving the central bank to deal with the economic sanctions that that are being implemented, to adjust and identify the size of problem genuinely, then introduce the mechanisms to deal after the definition is accurately defined. Because if they take steps as things occur,
Yeah.
then they may, there could be side effects that they cannot calculate.
Definitely.
But in leaving the issue to reach, to be on the decline, then they identify the problems more clearly, and then introduce the mechanisms that they need to deal with it and to alleviate the negative impact of the sanctions.
So observing things and how things are, it shows that this has been thought very well and carefully by Russia before just going to this move, because it's been some time not, like it's not on the spur of the moment, and Ukraine is just escalating, matters. Then Russia came in, we're like, is it coming in or not coming in? So definitely they studied all sides, and they are now backup from China, Korea. We do have that also there. So it's not a very easy thing. If everybody goes in, suddenly it's a world. It's international, and the world fourth, third or fourth war. That is really that's not, the world cannot afford that. And right now, prices are hiking everywhere due to this, definitely. So it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy matter. And Europe is backing Ukraine, and things, as you said, are just lagging and getting longer instead of just finishing as soon as possible.
You cannot calculate in such problems at this level. No way. You can speculate and take, you have different options.
Okay.
So they diversified the dependence on the dollar, and they bought a lot of dollar. They had reserves of dollar that they could use for pressure. They made bilateral deals with Russia.
Yeah.
And then they took into consideration if they implement sanctions on taking their oil, then they opened another venue for exporting the oil to South Korea and Japan and China, because they want to change from liquid hydrocarbons to gas.
Yeah.
For the global warming and the obligations that they are committed to. And then the gas that was going from Indonesia and Australia then will go to Europe. So the map is completely changing and dynamic. The cost, of course, the gas value is going high, because usually it stabilizes using the best available logistics to get the gas for a good price.
Of course.
But with things like that, they have to reinvent the logistic map and change customers, and this creates a time gap.
Yeah.
Because pipeline, the production put in the pipeline, then it has to be used. They cannot store it.
Yeah.
LNG and gasification, there is a room for give a breathing space, because it takes time for the vessel to move from one area, from the LNG plant to the gasification plant, and then into the pipeline. There is a limited storage capacity in Europe that they will inevitably use in cases like this, to adjust for time and motion of this commodity, which is very, very difficult, and it takes a lot of effort and money, and because you may need energy in one area because of the weather immediately. So you have to cover it from the reserves. and in relaxing periods, you have to fill in the storages for gas. So now everything is, and America would like to export the gas. They're already exporting LNG gas to Europe, and they want to take the advantage. Egypt, of course, wants to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
So it's all very, very dynamic.
Well, it is dynamic, but what's the loss of Russia in that sense? It was exporting. Well, definitely, it will also. They're exporting to Europe now. Like Europe wants to, or Italy, all they want to wean themselves off Russia by 2027. How does that affect? Of course, they found other places, to take from them. But how would that affect Russia?
Well, there is the only expected demands will occur for the fossil fuel will be in gas.
Yeah.
It will. There is tapering. The demand is going down for coal and liquid hydrocarbons.
Yeah.
So the gas will always have market for it.
Yeah.
But the relation between pipelines, because pipelines, you compress the gas, put it in the pipeline, goes through countries, and then the geopolitics plays role again in taking money. Like the problem of exporting the gas to Lebanon, for instance.
Yeah.
Lebanon, Egypt, they signed an agreement to use the pipeline to Jordan. That was changed direction several times, and now they're extending the pipeline to go through Syria to Lebanon. Mm-hmm. And there are sanctions on Syria. So Lebanon will be punished by the United States if they get the Egyptian gas through Syria.
Yeah.
So they got exemption, and it went through political processes in the States to get. But now they're afraid that the United States may, because they have a severe energy problem.
Yeah.
Severe energy problem.
Yes, yes.
So they take electricity from Jordan, and they want the gas to cover about between 60 and 65. The agreement was 60 to 65 million cubic feet of gas to Lebanon. So geopolitics again, because pipeline, if it goes through Syria, Syria gets part of it.
Yeah.
For right of way.
Yeah.
So getting, then it's a member of the financial deal, as long as it takes part of the gas for the right of way, for giving the right of way.
Yeah.
So this is a problem. So they would like to expand in LNG. The cost of LNG is higher than compressing the gas and moving it through pipelines. So it is a problem, geopolitical, financial, and lack of storages also cannot account for the differences in time between the needs, the timing of the need, and the production available. So logistics is always a problem with the gas.
That's a big problem. Well, we'll talk more about that, but we'll go for a short break after we should be coming back. Stay tuned to us, don't go away.
The two largest banks in Egypt succeeded in attracting a proceeds of £586 billion from the issuance of the 18% certificate within 31 days of its issuance. Mohammed Al-Itribi, chairman of Bank Misr, revealed that the bank attracted a proceeds of £186 billion from the 18% certificate. In the same context, Yahya Abu al-Futuh, Vice President of the National Bank of Egypt, said that his bank attracted a proceeds of £400 billion from the high return certificate. Dr. Mustafa Madbouli received a delegation from the Japanese company Yazaki Europe Limited, expressing the government's appreciation for the company's intention to establish a factory in Egypt, especially since it is one of the most important companies working in the field of manufacturing auto components in the world. For his part, the head of the Japanese delegation expressed his happiness to invest in Egypt, pointing to the company's interest in investing and expanding in Egypt, saying that the current time is an appropriate time to invest in Egypt. It was also pointed out that the company had conducted extensive and detailed studies on new markets to transfer its factories from different regions of the world to them. Egypt was chosen because of its advantages that attract foreign investment. Fitch expected the Egyptian economy to achieve a growth rate of 6% in the current fiscal year 2021-2022 and about 4.5% in the next fiscal year 2023. Fitch affirmed Egypt's rating at B+ with a stable outlook, supported by its recent record in financial and economic reforms and its large economy and strong growth. Fitch said that Egypt's economy witnessed a continuation of the state of recovery during the second half of 2021, with real growth of 9.8% on an annual basis in the third quarter, driven by exports and domestic demand. Minister of Supply and Internal Trade Dr. Ali Al-Musalhi announced that Egypt's reserves of wheat are sufficient until the end of next January. Al-Musalhi added during the start of the wheat harvest season in the Toshka region that the strategic reserve of wheat secures the daily consumption of bread for 71 million citizens, with between 250 and 270 million loaves that are produced on a daily basis. The central bank announced the issuance of treasury bills worth £24 billion in coordination with the Ministry of Finance to finance the budget deficit. The CBE added that the value of the first offering amounted to £14 billion for a term of 91 days, and the value of the second offering amounted to £10 billion for a term of 273 days, as the government borrows through bonds and treasury bills over various periods of time, and government banks are the largest purchasers of it. The rise in the price of the dollar today by about 8 piastres only led to a rise in gold prices by about £30 for 21 karat gold, despite the drop in the direct global price of about $13. The prices of 14 karat gold recorded about £736, and the prices of 18 karat gold recorded about £947, and the prices of 21 karat gold recorded about £1,105, while the prices of 24 karat gold recorded about £1,262. Minister of Transport Lieutenant General Kamil Al-Wazir revealed Egypt's plan to develop all ports to become a global center for trade and logistics. Kamil Al-Wazir explained that the plan includes the construction of new berths with total lengths of 35 kilometers and depths ranging from 15 to 18 meters, bringing the total lengths of berths in the ports to 76 kilometers, in addition to deepening the shipping lanes, bringing the capacity of the ports to 370 million tons instead of 185 million tons annually, and more than 22 million TEUs instead of 12 million TEUs annually.
Are we back again to One US Business? And there is a lot still to talk about. Among all that, Egypt, is trying to get a foothold, definitely, with all what it has and all the work it's been doing to be a hub for gas and all that, in the Middle East, and it's it's entitled to have something, and to have a foothold in Europe, especially in these situations.
Well, it's actually an energy hub.
Yeah.
It's very important to say this.
To make a
It's not
difference. It's
a
not
gas,
gas, exactly. It's energy.
Gas, you're not diversified.
Yeah.
But with the energy hub,
It has.
you export
Yeah.
electricity, you could export gas,
Yeah.
fuel, you can improve the refineries and so on. So, and this is a very wise move, because it will not be a virtual hub,
Yeah.
it will be a physical hub,
Yeah.
because we have the infrastructure, we have fantastic
Definitely.
network of pipelines, gas pipelines and oil pipelines or liquid pipelines, and we have more energy than we need locally, domestically.
Yeah.
So we export already. We export to Sudan, Saudi Arabia, and now we're working on a deal to export to Cyprus or Greece.
Yes.
So the energy hub is a security for our energy supply and demand in the country.
Yeah.
And also we can make money because of the infrastructure we have. And they're even considering making storage, because we have many salt layers in the eastern parts of Egypt,
Yeah.
that we can make caverns and store, because Saudi Arabia is the fourth largest reserve of gas in the world. It's
Yeah.
the fourth or fifth. And they're producing and exporting. But if they can make a pipeline and come through Egypt, then it will be a hub that is capable of storing and adjusting the logistics of exportation of gas to Europe market, and even to Africa, or this part of Africa is not like the West, where they have a lot of gas and export and LNG plants. So we're ideally located geographically, and also we have the bases. I cannot say a full-fledged infrastructure. So we have to have the system to operate all this and be on top of the requirement of the area. Of course, our interest is mainly in Europe, because it's the largest market outside the United States of gas compared to anywhere else.
So what we're doing is right. Right now, like we're taking the right steps to do that. It's the right time.
What we're doing.
رمضان أهلا مرحبا رمضان رمضان
Is right, and the good news, of course, is the large discoveries that have been recently discovered in 2015, and the experience we gain from going from exploratory drilling to production. And this was a record time that we managed to do, of course, with the help of Eni as an operator for the field. And the good news also geologically or technically, that this discovery was made in carbonates. And the carbonates, usually we find our hydrocarbons in sandstone. Us explorationists, we're trained to find and look for and identify traps in sandstones. But this was a very good news, the first discovery in the Mediterranean to be found in a different reservoir rock. And technically, we should look for similar traps, in the carbonates, which is very prolific in production, because of the quality of reservoir. So we hope to find more gas and import more gas. We import from Israel. We will import from Cyprus,
Yeah.
and hopefully from Saudi Arabia, and then it will be a real hub, physical hub. So this is what we're aiming at, and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for
Yeah.
this activity.
Definitely. Well, you know, a question about this, it's related and not directly related. Not only in this, you know, in the oil and you know, to be, you know, like a physical hub for energy. Not only in, you know, like not saying oil or gas, energy in general. The boost and the quantum leap that happened in it. Plus, you know, in different aspects, you know, in different aspects of life in Egypt, we just, you know, in 2010, 11, almost hit rock bottom, and then, you know, we started rebuilding very fast in very short time, less than 8 years. All these things have been happening, and lots of projects, and a quick boost in very short time. How do you see all that happening in the different fields? It's very hard, and we get criticism, you know, from certain categories that everybody knows, you know, like that, you know, like you do this, oh, we need you, like in education, you know, we're doing in education and in health and everything at the same time. It has to be simultaneous, not one thing after the other, otherwise it will take forever. So everything is happening at the same time, which is even beautifying the face of Egypt. Even new cities just, you know, emerge suddenly, you know, they're not sudden, of course. A lot of work has been done all the time, and then, you know, like we're not inaugurating, you know, we're not, you know, like going and seeing the places, like, you know, we're inaugurating the projects right away. This is what's happening. So how do you see all that?
Well, it's very easy to criticize,
Yeah.
and very difficult to convince that it is the only way that we should follow.
Yeah.
Things in all aspects of, or all activity, were going down.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, deteriorating,
Yeah.
and the rest of the world is going up.
Yeah.
So in order for this deterioration to be reversed, you have to move with a pace faster to create a critical mass. In different sign. Instead of critical mass down, you inverse it and go up.
Yeah.
So the pace has to be very, very fast, and this
Yeah.
is what we're doing now.
Exactly.
But with the pandemic, with the corona
Yeah.
problem, and other problems, the energy problems,
Yeah.
and the high cost of oil, because
Yeah.
we still import. And the dollar,
Increased due to
reserves,
that,
reserves in
definitely, yeah.
Egypt, because of this, what's going on, created a problem with the hot money
Yeah.
that is being moved out of the country.
Yeah.
So we're trying to attract the money again by introducing high interest for a short period,
Yeah.
deposits, and so it's all temporary mechanisms to alleviate the problem and continue with the same pace what we're doing to develop the country.
Definitely.
So it's so diversified and so problematic, and but the main problem is the currency
Yes.
and the budgets, and the deficit of the budget, and the deficit in the balance of payments,
Payments,
what we export, and the reserves. Food has gone up
Yeah.
tremendously
For everywhere,
because
you
of the
know
war.
that. Yeah. Exactly.
Everywhere,
Everywhere. Yeah.
because of the war, and we're a net importer of wheat
Yeah.
and other things. Even the feed for the cattle and the chicken
Increased
and
definitely,
it went
drastically.
up because
Yes.
most of it is imported again.
Yes. Yes.
So we have to be self-sufficient somehow
Yeah.
but it's very difficult to do it overnight.
Exactly.
It
Some
will
people
take
expect it
time.
overnight done, everything done
So
overnight.
in order to gain some time,
Yeah.
we take loans.
Yeah.
Because if there is a deficit and then you want to keep things rolling, then you have to take loan.
Yeah.
And loan puts burden on the budget
Yeah.
because of the repayment of loan, because some of the loan you take does not have return.
Mm-hmm.
So you do it to buy food, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, buying food and then you subsidize the food, then you're not making money.
Yeah.
So ideally you take loans to invest in some business that will make return and then help you financially. So it's all came at the same time and created this
Yeah.
problem.
Unfortunately, there is more to talk about the COP27, but we came to the end of this edition. Thank you very much for being with us. And we'll see you again as we move along and with the different aspects, hopefully not positive. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And like thank you viewers also for being there. We'll see you again next week. As for now, God bless Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our president, our army, our white army, and ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله. Enter Egypt, God willing, safe, and Mubarak Shabi Misr. Let's be Egypt, my people. A very good Easter, and Shama Nassim. We'll see you again next week. Goodbye for now.